Playoffs, they're here. Episode 316. We've got a packed house. Eric is out from behind the booth. The brother in the top left, Kenobi's arrived on episode 316 to eat some cheeseburgers, to smash some beers. We're doing shit crazy here today.
Did you want me to do the voice? Or
no, I didn't know. I wasn't sure where we were gonna go with that, but I was just gonna leave that out in the ether and just
hell yeah.
There he is, dude. Stone Cold ET is here to party and make some predictions. Yiska,
that's me.
A little skin dropped, and I know that you are absolutely in love with it. The Dallas Fuel Playoff Play Championship, one of those skins has been released. It's out. You love that skin, don't you? Think it's so good?
You know, the skin designer blocked me on Twitter.
Why would they block you? What kind of incendiary take would you have?
I feel like, yes, the framing of the feedback was probably not very constructive. I also felt a way about this. It's something I really care about. But I feel like there was just no communication with the players whatsoever. I don't see how the concept of a chained king is at all connected to them. I don't see any of the symbolism of the runes really connected to them. Yes, I can see like the burnt blue, but like,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, if I request wedding pictures or like a wedding, like of the couple, like as a wedding gift, like I go to a painter and go, "Can you paint this couple for me?" And he goes to Google, sees on LinkedIn that they both like work for Google, and then the final product is like Steve Jobs on a bear fur. Then like I'm of course going to be upset, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, like I think this one completely missed the mark. And I have a hot take. I think this missed the mark, but the ones beforehand were also not spot on. For that
I don't think
particular
any
reason.
of them. Yeah, I think any of them like past like the Jonak skin have all been like kind of slightly less more.
No. I'm not gonna let you slander the Sombra one. Okay, this is not happening on my watch.
It's like good. Dragon Sombra.
Yeah, yeah. Who won that season, Joe?
I mean, yes, it's closer to the identity, but we've gone away from like having a skin that is rich and like celebrating the player that it's for. And like trying to
let me. Well, okay, no, but then Shanghai did that too. The Shanghai one was for Lip, right? Because it was the Somber season, and it was for the Dragons. I mean, season one.
It's not though.
It's not the MVP. So, yeah, I'm conflating the MVP skin. To
right,
like
the MVP skin was always a little bit more personal.
Right, correct.
The Dragon skin just coincidentally feels like it hits. When that guy probably also never talked to any of the Dragons players or whatever, right? And maybe he did, and maybe I'm wrong. But at least those have the logos, right? Like, they are recognizable. I went, saw the Reddit thread, went, wait, is that's the Dallas skin? Oh, it looks like nothing like a Dallas skin. So then I was in a chat going like, it's probably not. Like, I'm looking at Overwatch Cavalry, and I'm going like, wait, that costs 300. Then, like, eventually comes out, that's the Dallas skin.
Mm-hmm.
And while it is a good-looking skin, I feel like everything misses here. I don't even mind really necessarily the hero choice. That's not of great concern to me.
Yeah, that makes kind of sense.
I feel like the color scheme is off. That's not really the color code for Dallas Fuel either. I feel like there's no recognizable features here of the Dallas Fuel. Like the trophy is to say like it has the like parts of the trophy is unsatisfying because that's based on Reinhardt, right? Like, not based on anything really meaningful to the team. I feel like the bare minimum should be to set up a Zoom call and get artistic feedback, what this team is like, and trying to capture the soul of this team in order to have something that commemorate or like that captures and really, I think like it is underrated what it means to these players. And it's also like it's nothing new. They want to push some bullshit brand when it never was about brands in esports. It's always about the players. And therefore like the important things that got into this game that retain meaning and are the dopest content are the ones that have specific design towards the particular individuals, right? And that's why I think the Jonak skin is the best esports skin in the game.
Oh yeah,
just for that reason.
Easily.
And then also like how long it took. And it honestly, like, I also feel a little baited because that was one of the topics we at least got semi-consistent updates on. So I thought like maybe there was some back and forth with all the stakeholders in that situation. I'm sorry, I don't feel it. Like, I feel like this is it's not super surprising because I'm sure this has been deprioritized. Maybe I'm also just talking shit and like that guy probably actually designed the skin, but like I'm sorry, that's just not doing the homework for me. And maybe your boss tells you it doesn't matter, we don't need to represent the brand anyway. But then that's not an esports skin then. Yeah, don't sell it as one. Like, Wes,
just sell it as a normal skin. Yeah, because it's a cool skin. It just doesn't like represent. It doesn't feel like it necessarily touches on anything that the Fuel did. Yes, it's the Reaper guy from the Reaper season, but outside of that, it's a little weak. They've all been kind of weak, but regardless.
It really, truly fucked me up when I saw that. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Like, I saw that, and I was just thinking about the sacrifices that these players make, and they spend so much time in that virtual world, and they've grinded so hard for years to get here, to finally make it. Like, I'm perfectly sure that if we had camera footage of like that practice room when they first time see the skin, like there were probably some shattered hearts there, I would imagine. Maybe not. Maybe like that's why, like, if there had been any input and it still doesn't look like I would have imagined it, that's fair, right? Like in that case, whatever. Like if the players want it that way, okay, that's fair. Right. I think that probably happened with some MVP skins where it was just like, really, you wanted that? But yeah, I don't know.
And I think that's even. I think that's like even touching on like the MVP skins. Like, yes, we should bring them back. That's like an easy way to celebrate individuals. That is more in line with esports. But like, yeah, if like that's what, somebody wanted and like that was their feedback and that was their kind of like dream skin, like that's, if that's what we're going to award MVPs, then fucking send it. Like, that's really cool and it's unique and it's going to be like, why does this skin look so different from the rest? Oh, it's because of XYZ reason, right? Like there's inherent like kind of lore there that I think you can kind of get to the more casual or, uninitiated audience that, maybe could be enticed to maybe watch or consume some of the content. Eric, what do you think of the skin? We like it? Do we dislike it? What do we think?
B-, got it anyway.
Pog, hell yeah. Kenobi, what do we think of Unchained King Reaper, King, whatever?
Actually, I haven't bought it yet. I think I have the tokens.
The tokens?
I'm gonna go look after this episode. I would have liked to have seen, like, I think the skin looks good. Like, it's a very nice looking skin. What I probably would have liked to have seen is like some Dallas Fuel iconography. And that doesn't mean like a logo necessarily, but even though that is kind of like the easiest way to do it, but like if what if he TP'd onto a Dallas Fuel logo or something like that? Because like I think the Doomfist skin, the Doomfist like
the shock skin,
the shock one doesn't have like any necessarily like big iconography on the skin itself, but I think like when you it's not in the game anymore, but when you used to be able to ground pound, it had the shock logo would be like flayed out on it, and like that's enough for me. Like as long as there's some indication of this is like the Dallas Fuel skin, because I think a lot of like I think going back to season 1, it has I think the Winston one's really good. Love that one.
That one's yes. I think that's like the best one.
Yeah, that's the best one. I don't hate the shock one from season 2 either, where it was the
Roadhog?
Oh, which one was that actually?
Roadhog
was season 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what was do we get a shock skin for season 2? Who was it?
I think that was Doomfist.
Yeah, season 2 was the Doomfist. Season 3 was Roadhog.
It was Roadhog. The Roadhog one I like. like the
bad.
Roadhog one. I
That
think
one, that one still like was
it's
starting to
hard
get
to-
a little bit.
I think.
nicht-
I mean, that one
Okay.
at least like has like I think I remember seeing that they did like they did
The
talk about
tattoo
it.
on like
Yeah,
the
he has,
belly
like,
was
the
like
the shock
shock
belt
logo.
I need
Yeah.
like I would just for this one I really would have just like been like I need some sort of like indication that this is like an esports skin
yeah.
where it's like this is because the skin looks great. Like I think that there are those tiny things where it's like, you know, I can see the instances where it's like the fuel and like the flames in it. Also the fact that like the gun and the headdresses and the arms are like kind of melded around what the trophy looks like. That's all fine. I think those are totally valid things, but beyond that there's not really any other indication that
It's not
like,
obvious.
yeah, it's not obvious that it's a, you know,
Yeah.
a Dallas Fuel skin. Whereas like if you look at League, where it's like with all of their skins and how they do it, some of them don't even have like necessarily iconography that it is like, you know, an SSG skin or anything like that, you know, but like or DRX for instance, where it's like a lot of it comes from like the backing animations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like something, just literally something. Like if Reaper TP'd and it was on a Dallas Fuel logo, that would have been enough. For me.
That can save it.
That would have been enough for me. Like,
yeah.
My bar is higher. Like you just need like ideally you just do way better and have way more symbolism in this. Like I think we're setting the bar way too low. Like I think like most of the best skins that we say is the best is barely acceptable to how little you would need to put in order to make it really good. And this is an issue that this esport and how it was introduced into the game always had. That there was just no real esports integration representation, and it's unfortunate that you look across the other games and they're just way better at it. Like so much better. Wealth is better at it, which is crazy to say, right? Riot is most definitely better at it. At any point in every part of the content, the representation of the mythology of those players is just way more represented. Like you can't do this without having that symbolism in your virtual spaces in order to like really raise questions and like create culture there. And
I think
maybe it's also like just stupid of me to expect this at this point, and like
because I think the thing about like if we're comparing it to League directly, it's like League is the thing is like they make one set of skins for like every like for the entire team, right? And like a lot of those skins are very individualized for the specific player. We used to have that ability in Overwatch where it was like, okay, we had the team skin and then we had the MVP skin.
Right.
Now there's no MVP skins. The MVP skin would have been like where you like go talk to like I think you really just kind of like, you know,
get ingrained with the player
personality of like the skin, right? Where I think that was like something that obviously the Jonak skin did, right? The Jonak skin was very good at that. Even the season 2 skin
MVP skin
at the time, like we're not talking about
it was a cute
now,
meme.
But, like, it was a good meme. It was understood about who that player was, and then you know I think season 3 was Fleta, if I'm not mistaken, right?
A little bit more, yeah. It's
Fleta. I mean, I can understand. It's like the the dark and the light. Echo was like his hero at the time, like, and then we didn't have one for Leave. Leave would I think wanted Widowmaker, but like that was really where I thought we got a lot of the personalized like mythology of the like the Zen skin is the best one because it is the one that like mythologizes Jonak more than anything else, right? This skin, like the Echo one that we're seeing on screen right now, sorry audio listeners, but this one's I think it's good. If it's something that like Fleta would have wanted, that's really all that matters to me in that regard. But like I think I think the personalization of it is something that would have been left to the MVP skin, which we just don't have now. And like the team skin is more kind of just like the skin they have for the entirety of the team, and it's like more about like the organization, right? And like how they did and stuff like that.
Even then you can capture the spirit of the team, right? Like it's not hard to just go to like some of the talent and say, what is this the Dallas Fuel like? Oh, they're very innovative. They
I'm not
push their
creatively
angle.
like yeah, but I don't think the team skins have ever been that.
Yes,
No,
and
but
it's
at-
garbage
at-
that they weren't. Like,
Agreed. And I think that's where like Yiska is talking about where it's like he thinks that like all of the team skins probably should be leveled up to or represent the teams that have won that year, not just like the brand that won. Versus what we're saying, which is like at least we could get the Reaper skin to look more like a Dallas Fuel skin. Obviously, audio
Yeah.
listeners, you're not seeing all this, but Eric's kind of going through like all of the rest of the team skins,
Like
and
the
it's
skin
like
is gorgeous.
it's very apparent that like
this
the
is,
Shanghai Sombra skin is celebrating Shanghai. It has dragon iconography. Like it's a pretty clear cut and dry skin, whereas the Reaper skin is kind of, as Yiska put it in I think a tweet, it looks like a reused Wrath of the Lich King asset, which it, all intents and purposes kind of looks like it does. So yeah, it's not the best. I tend to lean more with Eric. B-, looks cool.
yeah,
Cool for the people who
I don't
like
mind it. I
but-
think
it looks
yeah.
good. Like I think the skin looks good. It's just like I would love to have seen
Yeah, agree.
to make this like a better like esports skin.
Mhm.
Just some sort of like the fuels, like the fuel and like the flames of the fuel. It's like, okay, yeah, that's not like enough for me. There are a lot of skins
Yeah.
that we have that like
Yeah.
have fire built into them, right? Like I would have liked to have seen just a logo somewhere. Like that's really like where I would be like, I just need to see like this is some sort of esports adjacent. There needs to be
Yep.
some sort of iconography from the fuel that's not just some flames on like the gun and all.
Look, and to a degree, like, yeah, like if you only know that it's called the Dallas Fuel, like it's a garbage brand name and brand like how it looks. I'm sorry, like yes, on the surface it is like totally uninspired. Like there's not much to go there. Hence why I think like going a little deeper and finding like ways to highlight this would have been way
Agreed.
better.
100%.
And also, like, it's also like there's some. Does it not rub anyone the wrong? Like, is it? Do you guys think it's really just random that they don't have the logo on there? Or is this just like, yeah,
I have no
they're,
idea.
they're
I mean,
voting
I
that
don't-
shit off anyway. Let's just fuck off. Just do whatever. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
I
this
don't
is
know.
this is the communication here, right?
Yeah. All the rest of them had pretty clear like logo representation. Even the Doomfist one, I think, had like you could find like the Shock logo on there, but it was more like the Golden Gate like Shockwave iconography.
Yeah.
I think. Obviously, the Roadhog one, it's very clear. It's on his like belly, like you can see. It's about SF. And yeah, not having the fuel or like any kind of like Dallas, or anything not apparently Dallas pointing, is bizarre. Yeah, for sure. It's feels weird. I'm not a huge fan of that. Definitely side with Yiska that Blizzard could do better. It's past the point of oh, woe is me. Think of the artists. We're actively choosing not to at some point. And that's kind of where it has to sit. I'm just tired of fighting that fight. It's just obviously they're not going to change. So it's
Wouldn't be surprised
sad
if
to
this
say.
was the last esports skin we're going to see in a while.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That doesn't shock me. It would probably save them a whole lot of headaches to try to stop making esports related stuff, which is shooting themselves in the foot. But at this point, who cares? But yes, 316. Hello, we have playoffs. That's most of the darkness out of the way. We will definitely not be harping on too much about some of the more undesirable things because we have drama to talk about. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got upsets in the making. I need to pedal my London drama Wednesday, but that has less of a punch. I need to pedal London stocks. Maybe there will be a Houston fan out there that gets celebrated. We will have to see. But 316, the Stone Cold episode, is brought to you by Battlecrab, Refine Bean, Bronze Babu How, Picasso, Wolshin, Porkchop, Sammy, Yiska and Volamel, Sugar High, and Chris R34444. YouTube members, thank you to Blave Bliss, IMDRW, Brother Adam L, Ice Ham Jello, Fire Element 6, and AK. All right. Quick piece of housekeeping to get out of the way. Bernard is on Houston now. Kind of quiet, open secret being passed around. I believe Albert of the Florida Mayhem also did add a little bit of context to that signing that Houston apparently started the loophole rat race, that they were the first team to be kicking around, trialing players in scrims, that being Houston. And it sounds like Bernard probably was one of the first people to kind of be spotted in the scrim exchange, if you will. Kenobi, let's start with you first. Does Bernard, in the context of like approaching a Zarya meta in the playoffs, does Bernard's appearance help or hurt the Houston Outlaws?
Oh, helps. I mean, I think that I don't know too much about Bernard pre-Owl, like back in like Apex days or anything like that. I know, Joe, you put out a tweet about like him on BK Stars, I think it was, where he was.
I mean,
like,
yeah, it's
really
that was
good.
more of like a joke from like way back when, but yeah.
But like, I mean, from what I remember on like the Spark when he was on there, it wasn't it like I think the Zarya was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like that's who they landed on. I don't know how many like other necessarily options there were to like pick a Zarya player, but it's definitely makes sense because I think Fearless is probably not playing Zarya ever, right? Like that was
I would hope not.
I think that he is very much a Winston, Doomfist, Rhine player and maybe Ball, and that's about it that we're getting from him, right? I think that if there was anyone who needed really like
to make a move
help, it was probably them if the meta was going to tread like so far away from Winston and towards like these off-tank roles more so than anything else, right? So I think that this is a great move from them. I think them getting Bernard gives them a lot of options. If the meta isn't completely solidified with Zarya, they still have Fearless, right? So I think that this is a very good option for them because I think everywhere else they pretty much cover the field. I would say in terms of like their DPS or their supports. So yeah, I think overall, great signing for them. They needed some help, and they also probably wouldn't have gotten far just if they were just running Fearless on like Zarya Junker Queen. I think that would have not really been ideal for a team like this, who is, I think, on paper, probably one of the favorites. I mean, they were second at midseason madness, so I think that for them to have busted out early in the tournament by not having the help of like Bernard would have been pretty, ending with a whimper for a team that was so good for pretty much the entirety of the regular season and also midseason madness.
Yep. It would suck to see, because even like going back to last show where like we're kind of, scraping the rumor mill and it's a lot of that same like Junker Queen meta-esque composition where you're still getting a lot of the Sojourn, you're getting the Genji. Like those are like wheelhouse picks for Happy and Pelican. Like you could not pretty much pick any other heroes that they could like just fit right into. So not having a tank to kind of at least be able to pilot like kind of a standard meta would severely hamper them. But returning to the rumor mill, somebody who's definitely been hitting the ground hard, speaking to all the coaches, is that even fair to say these days, Yiska, as we kind of approach the playoffs? Are we really playing that much Zarya?
My read is probably less so. Like maybe half and half is even. I don't know. It's hard to read because of course nobody wants to really necessarily give their hand away.
Of course,
at this point, right?
We'll know tomorrow, won't it?
Basically, yeah.
Like just on paper, I can totally believe that Ryan plays pretty well into Zarya, and that might have shifted a bunch of power levels around. But by doing that, there's maybe another meta comp that might like just be supreme because it beats Ryan very handily, and then you just like handshake on not playing rock paper scissors, but just getting back to dive or whatever. Like, yes, it's always still a possibility, right? So yeah, it's hard to say. There's a high probability that none of the pickups will play. I will also say I saw an interesting take, and yeah, I think Gamba also told me in the interview he doesn't really care how the perception is. Gator told me like if he thought he could sign 5 players in 30 days and win the Overwatch League that way, he would do it. But there's just nobody they would pick up at this point. I think it does matter who does the first move according to those roles. Okay. So yes, the league does set the rules. And the only reason that you're not okay. let me go a little bit further out, scope out and say I think the world is not held together by laws, but by convention and culture. Okay.
Okay.
We could have paid these Overwatch League players, minimum salary, cynically the way like Valiant has done all this time. We could have just like fucked them over in all the termination clauses. We could have thrown them out of apartments at the earliest convenience based on what the contracts. We all didn't do that, right? Like the owners didn't handshake on that, despite it being possible by the rules of the league, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Most of the world that is good and valuable is held together by convention, not by laws. So if an undoubtedly bad rule is introduced and everyone agrees it is a bad rule, then the first guy that does the signing has some responsibility. Okay.
Sure.
That's the dude that kicks off the arms race.
Yes.
Right? Where everyone else has to react to it. And I think like people were like, "Oh, why is Albert defending himself? Like he doesn't need to. Like it's in the rules. Blah blah blah." It's all. I get it. I actually like if you're the first guy to announce that you assigned someone while you were getting farmed by Bernard in scrims or whatever, like
feels a type of way when everybody's coming at you like, "Oh, why do they get to sign people?"
I think it's a super human reaction to say like we were actually not the people that stepped over the line. We just like reacted to that situation. We all agree that this is stupid, and like
we gotta win.
no, I'm not condemning or like feeling any type of way about what like Houston did. Whatever. Like the main responsibility is still on the league, but the morality or like the ethics, if you want,
ethically sourced players, guys. Come on.
It does matter a little bit, right? It does matter.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does matter when everybody can look at the rules and go, "Yeah, this is really stupid," and then kind of turn to their cabinet and go, "So how do we abuse this to win?" You know, it's like, okay, guys, like let's not say some good shit with one hand and then make balloon animals with the other. Like you gotta, pick a lane. And I'm I appreciate that and can empathize that, like, Albert has, feels like he needs to come out and be like, well, like, let's be honest, guys, like we weren't the first ones to do this. But it's content. Like everybody loves the transparency these days. So
technically, by the way,
good viewers.
The first team that did use the rule was the Infernal. But I think that's a very different situation, of course.
Yes, definitely.
That's like something
Eric,
that would not hurt the convention, right?
No, that's like within reason. You have somebody who's ill, you need to sign somebody. Yeah. That's fair. I think everybody would handshake on that. Eric, when it comes to the Houston Outlaws, as a betting man, what does this do for you?
This is the playoffs. This is where we're coming all in. We're going all in on this. We're gonna get Bernard, whatever it takes. This could be the last championship. Do it.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm liking. Do it. Get in there, send that, put it to the moon. They've got all this stuff. Let them cook. Shorty, what you think about that? Anyways, all right, so we've got brackets to make. That's pretty much the quick housekeeping. I don't believe there's anything else that's happened. Speak now, forever hold your pizza. I'm gonna guess not. So, let us start
bracketology. Bum, 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 bum.
Before the bracketology, let's pass around a quick little toke sesh. A quick little smoke sesh, okay? That's always a good time. We love a good little smattering of things. Let's pass this question around. We'll start with Eric. Which group is harder? Group A, Group B? Let's see if we're unanimous on this.
I'm gonna say Group B. Two APAC teams, a little wild, and then obviously Houston, Florida, very strong.
Yeah. It's Group B, meaning Houston, Florida. Okay, so Dallas, Florida, Houston, Seoul. That's pretty much the de facto. I can't lie, as much as I'd love to spin a look for Group A where, Atlanta, they could, they're going to be so hard. The parity in Group B between like Dallas and how strong they'll be, Mayhem, Houston have been knocking on the Atlanta Reigns door forever, and dare I say, the Florida Mayhem might be favorites to win the championship, especially with signing somebody like Who Are You? Yeah, my vote would be Group B as well. Kenobi?
Group B. It's the group of death. I don't really think it's close either.
Doesn't
Oh,
feel like it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Group B is like
Yeah.
significantly the harder group, top to bottom than Group A is.
I feel like
are you
it's
more
reasonably close, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'd much rather play London than Infernal. Sorry, other way around. Much rather play Infernal than London.
Infernal than London. That's fair. Yeah. But that's the only one that I'd feel safe saying. I'm like, okay, you could swap that around and I'd be okay with that. But
I'm not
the rest of them, I'm like, I don't want to play Fuel.
Yeah,
More than
I think
Spark,
that the fact that there
We'll
are
have to
3
see. I don't know.
teams in Group B that are like could win the championship very easily, and
Yeah.
one of them is not going to be going to the Final Four is wild to me. Where it feels like in Group A there are 2 very clear favorites, and then there are 2 very
Teams that
clear teams that could go far, but aren't.
Right.
Even if they go to the end, they're not. Even if they
They're
go
not
to the
winning.
Final Four, they're not winning. Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
The problem is meta. I'm a be 100%
Yes,
honest.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I
Agreed.
think
If this hits hard, like if Zarya was hard meta, London never hit a scrim, they show up, they get out of the group. 100%.
Yes. 100%.
They farm
Agreed.
the Zarya
They
teams.
farm
in a cell
Zarya comps. Yes.
probably yes.
So
That was what I was banking on.
now this all throws a little bit of a wrench into the machine here. I asked Chris for to come up with a hot take and say like maybe Spark can even win one against Atlanta in the opener. That's a rough one. It's also totally possible that we're heavily underestimating what the rain might look like under new meta conditions. Yes, I agree.
I agree.
That like in the Zarya meta, it doesn't look too pretty specifically for the tank position because they're forced to play Hawk presumably, which poses some questions about synergy, and like their win rate with Hawk is also probably not that good this season.
I'll do you one better. I think this is probably the worst possible outcome for Atlanta, because what you're telling me is that if Zarya is still viable on some maps and you have to play it sometimes, that means you have to rotate both Hawk and Donghak, which means not only are you shifting playstyles, you're shifting communication structures
And
constantly for them.
To be fair, though,
to be fair, signaling that to your opponent immediately, depending on who is.
You know exactly what's shifting. Yep.
I mean, to be fair though, that wasn't a problem for them in the regular season at all. They didn't have a problem. I think when we would talk to Hawk or talk to Donghak, it was very much like, yeah, nothing's really lost. And Gator, I think Gator also, if I'm not mistaken, said that like the communication structure at least didn't look like it was changed too much when Atlanta was playing with Hawk or with Donghak. I think that they seem to be playing relatively well no matter what. And I mean, it helps when you have 4 players around your one tank that are at the top of their game, right?
That's
you have the best backline in the league. You have 2 of the best DPS in the league. The tank the question becomes then, what is the tank supposed to do, right? That's like the biggest thing. Is it going to be a meta where it's like very tank heavy? If Bernard, like Yiska said, was just farming people in scrims, then that'll definitely make it. Hawk, I think, is probably a very
should be confident.
Should be very confident on Zarya, right? It's something that he played way back in the day. I don't think you really lose the ability to play Zarya. It's kind of like just having 2 bubbles just makes it even easier for you, I would say. But like when I look at that Atlanta team, the tank to me doesn't matter too much when I have the 4 other players around him that literally are the best of their class, right? If this is Sojourn meta, we saw last year Lip on Sojourn literally carry, I think, Shanghai to that victory. I mean, Who Are You was very good. The rest of the team was very good in Jotes, but that was just Lip fucking absolutely wrecking an entire region on Sojourn, right? If Sojourn's meta, that's great for this team. Stalker on Genji, great for this team. You have the 2 best backline and you have fucking Chio Fielder. Don't see a meta where like anything happens. And oh, by the way, just in case, if there's any problem, Vigilante's there also. Yeah. So, like, this team, to me, and this is like, Glaze Atlanta, like I've been doing all the season, but, like, honestly, like, on paper... Yeah,
it's hard to defeat them on paper.
It's hard for me to look at this team and be like, where does the weakness lie besides the tank? And even if the tank is a weakness, is the rest of the team around him just able to supersede completely that weakness and just overwhelm any other team?
And that's the interesting part about this is it's like the exact flipped problem for Florida in my mind, because they don't have any issues with the tank flexibility. I think I could be convinced that someone is either the second or third best Zarya in the playoffs after Hanbin. The question is, how about the other DPS players, depending on what kind of a meta you want to play? I think Who Are You is telegraphing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
played,
it's Genji.
He's played Hanzo and
Pharah.
Genji,
I don't think we're seeing
and
Hanzo.
Pharah, Doomfist, but yeah, it's a pretty limited hero pool historically.
So that's maybe a bit of an issue. I'm not too sure. It depends.
Boston could show their hand. I mean, like if I'm going to leverage that against Atlanta, even though part of like the comm structure argument definitely, is an avenue to see a team kind of like shift in terms of like performance. Boston in a similar way, like if you see Smurf, you're getting one look. If you see Kalios, you know that you're getting a different look. And right. Having that tank shift is never a trend for success.
I think they shouldn't do that shit. Just let Smurf play everything.
I think they should also let Smurf.
I think they should too, but how
everyone
these esports coaches
everyone told me that like Kalios is really good at Zarya, and I was
he is.
Which I mean, I necessarily don't remember like Kalios too much like back in the day, but like I feel like Smurf last year wasn't bad at Zarya, like enough that I would be like, is Kalios going to be a significant upgrade? And the thing is, like, without knowledge of the meta, it's very hard for anyone to really, from like an outside looking in point of view, it's like, what is the key part of the composition, right? What's the build around? Because usually there's a build around, right? A lot of the time,
depends.
It does depend. There are some times where it's like there are various pieces that do matter, but there are going to be some roles I think that are way more important than like
for sure.
I think there is a world depending on the meta composition. It's okay if we're playing 70% Zarya, bring in Kalios, right? And then that, then it's okay to telegraph what you're doing. If we're going towards the 40-30% mark, at this
then
point,
Smurf should just
buy like an open bar voucher for Kalios, tell him to have fun in Toronto, and then you just play Smurf, right?
Yep.
So
set him on the bench. His entire career has been a bench warmer. Again, undersung hero, I think, was a big reason why New York had some semblance of playoff hope. What was that, 2021, I think? The homie, I think he's also hit 5K once or twice. So definitely mechanically gifted. Eric, final thoughts there. Are we worried about Atlanta? What do we think about tanks? Any thoughts there?
Well, with London, I'm gonna bet against them. I think in the Preds. I feel like there's some rumors about Cloudy's SR Peak team being called out for scrims for some of these Owl teams. So I'm guessing a lot of teams are looking at the Ryan look. So they might not be as coordinated as the most coordinated team ever, but I'm slightly short on London, I guess, as a preview.
That is a story. If this is true, I need to write that op-ed. Not even the op-ed, but like the story of how SR Peak Check is ringing for the Atlanta Reign for the championship match, where you've got like the practice squad of LH Cloudy and unnamed European flex support number 5. That's the bastion of practice that we're pulling from at the moment. That's you can't write that. All right, actually bracket time. Let's start using Wikipedia. We're gonna start from Group A, work down. We're gonna do Group B, work down for each of us. We'll bot back and forth. We'll start with the Spark versus the Atlanta Reign. We have a better idea, even though it's still a little cloudy, haha, no pun intended, of the meta now. Yiska's coming out here talking about how Zarya might be a little bit less, played than we thought. It's a little bit more RPS favored, where you're getting a lot of different looks, which is great for viewership. But when we're thinking the X's and O's, Is that something we want Gusha to see? Do we think Atlanta Reign are a dynasty? Kenobi, what do we got going here?
I'll talk about the Spark just a little bit. I think this team would have been, I mean, if Liga was like on this team, which I was really hoping after he got dropped from Dreamers that they would sign him and just like have him ring for Zarya.
Mhm.
If the meta isn't like so heavily favored for Zarya, it gives Hangzhou a better chance because I think that you can play maybe Grand Finals comp from last year and be relatively successful with it, or like a variation of it somehow.
Okay.
Um,
That
because
being
like
like
obviously,
Winston,
like
Sojourn.
Winston, Sojourn, Genji to
Okay.
me would scream like, okay, like this is like the greatest hits for Hangzhou, right? You get
Mhm.
Shy on Sojourn, his best hero. You get Leave on Genji, very good at Genji, and then you get Gusha on, I won't say his one trick, but on his best hero, right? I think
Sure.
he is top 3 Winston probably to ever play the game at this point.
Okay.
And I think that like that gives them an avenue. They won't beat Atlanta. Like I just don't. I
Okay.
straight up don't think they'll beat Atlanta. I have this at 3-1 for Atlanta. Atlanta will be challenged probably later in the bracket, but I think given what I would expect the meta to look like right now, I worry about Gusha playing Zarya. If they can find a way to maybe just get a map where it's like, hey, we can play Winston here, I think they have a much better time doing that. But even then, I'm like very hesitant. This could very easily just be like a 1 hour opening game, right? And just Atlanta just mop the floor with Spark, and then
3-0 and a handshake.
yeah,
could
and
be.
then we go to Boston, London right after.
Could be 100%. I tend to agree score wise. I think this is going to be a 3-1 for Atlanta. Hearing that the meta is a little bit more open than we kind of previously thought. I think we were a little like overcorrecting for Zarya. It was, the new hot thing on the block. The fact that Spark may be able to play some kind of dive map in a format that does allow for losers pick. There's going to be eventually, they're going to kind of land on a map that they are going to be able to play Winston. They are going to just have, 2 of the most explosive DPS players to ever kind of touch the game just kind of explode. That's not to say that Atlanta can't just match, fusion for fusion, but, I think Spark are good enough for one. They can probably just kind of will one across the line. I won't comment on seed choices because that still is confusing to me. I know Yiska, you put out like a thing after talking to the coaches that like the seeding for first picks is very wonky. So that I can't necessarily speak on. Maybe you can, but eventually the Spark will have a counter pick. Eventually they will find a map that they can play Winston, and that's where I think that they can thrive and then promptly be throttled. So yeah, I've got Atlanta.
I just to briefly explain the seeding thing. I think the seeding matters only for 2 matches per, or no, okay, for all the starting matches, of course, and then the first round in the losers bracket and winners bracket, because after that there is an implied seeding in the following matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I lose the first, like let's say like London loses the first and Spark loses the first, then they, as far as the bracket is concerned, the London Spitfire and the Spark are equal, and therefore the seeding has to decide. Now, let's say London wins that, then they're still in the losers bracket, and another team has to come from the winners bracket, right? Like the one that loses and therefore the seeding, I assume, wouldn't matter because the team is coming from the winners bracket, and is playing against the team that was in the losers bracket. Please tell me that's true. Like,
yeah, that is a rule check moment. I hope Sean Miller's got his notes, because if the London Spitfire holds their, if I'm understanding the report correctly, they hold a higher seed in comparison to how the groups are being seeded, not necessarily how the like decider matches are being seeded, and they're using the group seeds and not the like in group seeding of the loser of the winners match going to the decider match being the obvious first seed in that matchup, allowing them to have first pick. It is a little wordy. It's confusing, but yeah, that would be a little obnoxious. Yiska, though, when it comes to Spark Atlanta, Any deviation there? Do we think this is just a?
I'd love to
Three
have
on
a
a
hot
handshake?
take, but like I think it's
Yeah.
straight up.
If I'm not doing it,
Atlanta.
you're not doing it.
No, like I think it's also mildly disrespectful to think like Atlanta isn't one of the best teams still, and
Yeah.
like I think that you should.
They're nothing.
give it
They
to
haven't
them.
shown us anything otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I give Spark a map. I think that's fair.
Yep. I think that I agreed. Eric, what do we got? What do we think?
I don't give Spark a map. I need some 3-0s here. and I'm gonna
Three on
take
a
one of those.
handshake.
Yeah,
There we
let's
go. Brutal. He is for audio listeners and audio listeners. You're missing out on Eric's beautiful brackets. But in the past, when we do our bracketology episodes, constantly our Discord group chat is like, you guys remember that like 3-0s are like constantly happening. Like there's not enough 3-0s here. You guys are just wrong.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
3-0s are like 50%. Yiska brings us up all the time. 3-0s are 50% of the league. I think Eric will probably be a little bit more true in a lot of these because boy howdy do we love a 3-0 in this game. Staying within Group A, Boston, London.
I think we're done with easy prets, by the way, at this point. I
Yeah, no,
legitimately think this is the.
Well, no,
this
there's
the
one. There's
easy-
one other easy pred. I think there's one other easy.
True,
pred.
true.
And
There's
then
there's a couple more, but
this
we'll
one.
get to
Okay, so this one, they played each other in the bracket for play-ins.
it
Was a 3-1. It was closer than it was, I think, than like a 3-1.
Then the score line
indicates.
shows.
I think that could have been like 3-2.
Different meta.
Again, with the meta change is where I really like start to wonder what it is like with
Yeah.
this team. There's a very good possibility also that this is not Boston and this is Toronto in this spot. That
Yeah.
Boston series against Toronto, if Lee Jae Gon doesn't just fucking flip his coin correctly in that last map of Circuit Royale and kills Hydron by himself, I think they lose that map because he was like completely just like coin flipping the entire time on Lucio and then just managed to roll fucking Snake Eyes at the end and
He stole
win
all
them
your
that
luck,
map.
dude. He's
Yeah,
a
they really
luck
did.
vampire.
They really did. I don't know what the meta looks like. On paper, to me, it's very hard to bet against Boston, especially with the talent that they have on that roster. If Twilight's going to play in any capacity, that's something that I always look out for as being the difference maker. I have this 3-2 London, or 3-2 Boston. I think London, especially this early, is probably going to find a couple of map wins with the composition that they have. And
Sure.
if they're going to be running that Reinhardt, I think there are just maps where Boston simply are going to have a hard time dealing with it, especially if Zarya is being played. But I think in the end, this team is insane at hands, right? The hands
Yeah.
of the Boston Uprising is
Hands
so
over synergy. Is that what I'm
fucking
hearing?
good. I mean, that's what happened in the last time they played. It was literally hands over synergy.
Okay.
And when I'm looking at the Boston Uprising roster, I see hands fucking everywhere, dude.
Edward
This
says a
team
hands,
Every
is
yeah.
player is a hands player.
they are all hands players. It's very difficult for me. I would not be shocked if London does end up squeaking this one out, obviously, but
Sure.
I have this pretty close, and I have Boston, like, again, map 5,
Okay.
just squeaking it out at the very end, because that's what they seem to be very good at doing.
Yiska is a historical hands fan, both
I love
in
hands.
aesthetics and in choice of players. Are you also siding with the hands uprising?
I love hands, and I love some hands with some select choices of rings. Okay, and they got rings on rings.
So many double entendres.
I feel like, yeah, like last week, if you asked me shortly after the play-ins and then in the new meta, I would have probably given this to London. We have to consider that, yes, as we talked about, I'm sure like people who watched those interviews probably were almost a little annoyed how often I asked this question to the coaches, but like they have a draft advantage, and that is actually pretty big for London if they can play Rhine 100% of the time, because control is the first map type. This is probably the most volatile to composition, okay, out of the map pools. Second, it's hybrid, right?
I got it right here.
That's a
It
doozy.
is hybrid.
That's
Correct.
a doozy. I don't think you can really realistically pick a bad hybrid map, okay?
For London, you can, but
For
Yeah.
London.
you pick Blizzard World and you end.
Blizzard, like Backbone told me Blizzard World is a Rhine map.
Or you pick Midtown. You pick
and
Midtown.
I get why they think that, but on officials they seem to flounder. But that's
I
just
think
my
you take
opinion.
Midtown too. Midtown.
I think Midtown or
is
Kings is great
Okay.
for them, but I think regardless, tangent aside,
Regardless what happens, like third map also like doesn't
you're
matter.
fucked. You're
Flashpoint,
fucked if you're
yeah.
London is very. I mean, towards they weren't like there was like a meme about them not being good at it. I think, but like towards the back end of the play-ins, I thought they started performing really well.
Yeah. So like the first 3 maps, with the exception of I would agree Midtown. That's at least 2 London maps in there. Okay, based on the pick choice. You shouldn't necessarily totally discredit that, which is why I like the 3-2. Because you have to respect the recent results. You have to respect the tenure and veterancy of these guys on LAN. You have to respect just like the higher quality of play across the entire season. So I feel like you must have amazing scrimbucks or great like meta insight in order to come up with anything but like a Boston win. I'll also go 3-2 Boston here.
Eric, what do we think? Is it possible?
Yeah, Yiska brought up a lot of great points, but I'm committing to the bit here. I'm going to take the Armo aggro and go 3-0 Boston.
Wow.
Oh,
I love Nuki, I love Christopher, but I know they love beating low expectations, so this is their opportunity right here.
Yeah. To kind of put in my hat into the ballot box draft, whatever. I'm very aligned with Kenobi. I think that this is going to be a pretty damn close match. There is a world where Boston comes in a little tilted. They out meta themselves and they're swapping in Kalios like they've tended to. I think Rialto, and that was in the pool. I think towards the start of the year, they kept trying to shove him in and it just never kind of really worked out. They seem to always lose Escort. So there's a world where they try to get a little too fancy with it, and it proves to be a detriment because they have literally the world going for them. They have no expectations. They hit a weird meta success point, but also is that going to necessarily, persist? A lot of my talking points last week were about, a heavy Zarya meta and how Reinhardt could abuse that. Now we're looking at a reality where Zarya is a part of the meta, but not necessarily being that bell cow composition that is going to be run. So it's a little bit weaker on that front. If they are able to actually get like weird seeding priority, that's going to be super helpful for them. They do have a good map pool on their hands. They do have losers pick, which just means that you're always, every time you beat them, you're going to a Rhine map and you're going to have to deal with it somehow. There's a lot going for them. I do have to rely sometimes on the hands, as much as I'm not a hands guy. Boston are a pretty damn good team. I'm going to say 3-2 Boston.
Fellow hands enjoyer.
I do love a hands. I do love me some hands. So that leaves us pretty much all with the same bracket, which makes for great audio listening. Audio listeners, you're not completely lost just yet. You're not missing out on the visuals. Everybody has Atlanta Spark advancing. No, I'm sorry. Atlanta Boston advancing, Spark London dropping. We'll start with the head-to-head. Atlanta and Boston. Is this closer than it feels like? Yiska.
No, I don't think so. I think this is once again Atlanta. I won't slander the champions. Okay.
Yeah.
3-1 Atlanta again.
Okay. Giving Boston a map. Where, if you had to guess, and I'm not asking you to unironically try to like think of what map they lose, but if you had a feeling for a map that they lose, which do you think it is?
Say Control. It's the most Mickey Mouse.
It is the most Mickey Mouse. That would be a great vote.
Apparently, okay. I think the pick
You can check
pattern is
RD,
to always
but-
get Ilios. Would Boston have a chance on Ilios? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Something goes awry. Lip just wakes up, has a bad game. He's got the shits. He pulls he pulls an Apex Season 1, has too many grapes, you know?
No.
Yeah, no, I feel like Flashpoint is probably more the speed where
Or volatile.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Flashpoint.
not
All right.
known
Kenobes.
enough.
I also have it 3-1 Atlanta. I think until Atlanta shows me that there is a problem,
Right. Yeah.
which they very easily could on Thursday against the Spark, it's hard for me to bet against them in any aspect.
Okay.
If we are talking about like hands team versus hands team, I'm taking Atlanta Reign.
Yes.
Brother, that
Better
team
hands.
is so fucking good at hands, man. You have the best backline in the league, probably starting to make a case if
For
they perform
all
as
time.
well all time.
All-time best backline.
I find it very difficult for, as good as Boston is, I think Atlanta has proven this season that they are just kind of them times 2, like Boston times 2. Like,
Fair.
Boston is just diet Atlanta right. Kind of is what I would.
Not wish Atlanta. Oh, not the dollar store book bin Atlanta Reign.
Yeah.
Eric, is this a 3-0? Because I've got it a 3-0.
Oh, you taking that one?
I'm taking a 3-0.
Let's
This
do
is
it.
a smattering.
Let's pair it up. All right. Well, I'll do the same.
Where this is a car crash. Atlanta is headed for the grand finals. It's not close. Boston Uprising.
Oh.
You got hands. You don't have that much. You ain't built like that.
Hold the phone until we say this.
What's the matter?
Okay. With Atlanta like easily saying grand finals, we got some single elimination matches there. We'll have to see.
All right.
Where this
That are
goes.
best of three also,
You're the one
best
who's
of
talking
5.
about not slandering the champs. So
I'll-
I'm gonna need some real good points.
I'll straight up tell you, like, Atlanta does not want to go into the lower bracket if they want to get into the final. You do not want to hit Florida in a single elim. That's a nightmare.
Oh sure, yeah, of course, yeah. I wouldn't want to deal with fucking Florida
can't
and this kind of a meta. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you can't. Like, that's then the grand final happening in the single elim, and then you got to figure out, like, that's the match then, probably, right?
Yep. That's the typical Overwatch grand final where we have our semifinal that should have been the grand final, but because brackets suck, whatever. So audio listeners, everybody's got Atlanta advancing into the top 4. They've won twice on all of our brackets. Correct. If you're an Atlanta fan, give yourselves a pat on the back.
Top seed too.
We're going to top seed, exactly. We're going to figure out our second seed out of Group A. So, starting with the Spark and London, I guess not really starting, but figuring this out. Spark in London.
You already know what the fuck it is for me, man.
You already know what it is. He's jamming it. He's sending it.
As the brother in the bottom right, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have to, stay true to who I was.
It's true. He did hit last year. You got to give the boy credit.
I have this 3-2 Spark.
Okay.
I think this will be very close. I like my head says that London just wins this, right? And that I don't think that the Spark have played anyone. They're probably not great at like matching up into a composition that's weird, but also my heart wants Spark to win this. So I'll have Spark 3-2. That's all the explanation I have for it.
Sick.
I think that this is a great
Just say
meta.
shy leave over and over.
Shy leave. Gusha plays Winston, and like maybe they are able to supersede the team that is just, I think, as a unit, probably like could get over the hands that the Spark have. But yeah, I think this is, for me, this is very much just like a Chinese homer type pick. I want to see the Spark go far in this meta, in this tournament, and unfortunately that is going to be at the detriment to the London fans out there.
The London fan with his blue hair. Yiska, are we sending London home?
I don't think so. I'm just like so stuck on the idea of what if London had never scrimmed any of the OWL teams? Like, can you, if you're already like so surprised that you got here, would you like just say fuck it and like not scrim anyone?
Vacation?
Because
as you just don't scrim.
As we so painfully found out today, if you scrim one OWL team, you basically scrimmed all OWL teams. By the way, information disseminates apparently in this league. So then again, like Screwing Tier 2 is also just basically broadcasting it on Twitch TV as like a featured channel. So like, who knows? Like, I don't know. Are you programming in AI? Get on it, Gamba. This is hard. I agree, Hans, big upside, right, for Spark.
Yeah.
But I also think Spark has never seen anything like this. And they won't have the ability to practice against anything like
last
this.
year, not last year.
Not the Sims.
Not
Sim shit.
not
Yeah,
the
not
at
the
this
sim
level. I don't think we've seen since Rush.
Yeah.
Like Coach Rush.
No, yeah, they're not gonna know what to do.
And
if I had to, again, head versus heart, but like Spark, I don't think can match up.
I also think it's very good for the org to send the players this early, but fuck me, is that a like shitty situation for them, right? That it's 12-hour jet lag. It cannot be worse. Like, you're literally traveling the worst jet lag position that you could. I could totally see how they're not adjusted by the time that we start playing the playoffs, right? Now, do these matches happen on day 1 or day 2? Day 2.
This is Friday.
This is a Friday
would
match.
Be the London match.
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
They are gonna have film. They'll have film.
This is close as shit. Yeah, they're going to have film. They're going
Does it
to.
matter?
It's the same. Once again, London has pick order. I'm giving this 3-2 to London. It's too much speaking for me to say, like.
Yep.
I think this is also a roster that now has enough LAN opportunities. I don't think that London will choke. I think this is going to be a really good match.
Well, careful now. Don't say the C word, because boy, howdy, Landon.
C9?
Oh, C9, choke 9. Landon, if I see you run down an enemy support using your window solo on them again, I may rip out the remaining air I have left. There is a world where they lose this in the 23rd hour. Somebody does something silly, something happens. It nearly happened versus Toronto. It could definitely happen versus the pedigree of players like Monk, like Gusha, like Shy, like Leave. It's the fucking greatest hits from the Chinese region. That being said, I'm synergy over hands. I'm teamwork over player skill. Give me London 3-2, but it's close.
One of us. I'm proud of you that after 6 years you finally let go of your Chinese bias.
Yeah, it's just me. It's just Joe just left me adrift by myself.
I passed him the crown after season 2 in 2018. I was like, it's all yours now, baby. Enjoy.
I'm in the bottom right corner, so I will take the Kenobi bet here and go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Split house.
I just don't want to pred Boston London again, so I'm going to take London out here and move Spark forward 3-2.
Fair play.
My guy.
All right. So, audio listeners, we have a 50-50 split on who is in the elimination match. Yiska and I agree that Saturday's Group A match is Boston and London, whereas Eric and Kenobi believe that it's Boston and the Spark. I'm understanding this correctly. I'm pretty sure I am. So let's start with the Spark enjoyers.
They're gonna get 3 by Boston if they make it to Saturday. It's not happening, bro.
It's too handsy. That's just
unless I see in those 2 maps that they play against Atlanta and London, if I see them kind of like last year where it was like this team's really fucking good at this composition that they're playing, and it's like they're
depends on the meta.
Significantly good. Like Shy's popping off, Leaves popping off, Gusha's popping off. If I see that. This is closer. I still think Boston wins, but I mean, Boston, I think, has this like pretty handed. Right, there's just too much pedigree on that team for Spark to be able to deal with. I think that this is where like Spark probably just ends it in terms of their run. They could maybe make it close, but they're not winning against Boston.
Yeah. Eric?
Agree. 3-1 for me. I'll take Boston into the final day, the second team from Group A.
All right. Yiska, Boston, London. in the rematch.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not typically. I think historically, shout outs RD. I know that you're kicking around. Hopefully, audio in audio land. Am I wrong in saying that historically rematches are not loser favored?
No.
Typically, that's usually pretty bad for Overwatch. Yeah. So usually, we don't see like a reverse of that.
No, I think someone mentioned 7 out of 8 times it has been the winner. So, yeah, nah, it's not happening yet either. Like, the one thing I think, like, if there's a team that can develop like a strategy that could be interesting, that could have some curveball potential, it would be London or Florida. Those are the coach qualities of those teams. I think I would trust them the most to come up with something. But I also think like there's a real chance where there is just no easy solutions left in the meta on short notice, where London can find something interesting to throw at Boston. I would even say that this series, if it happens again, is probably more decisive. I think that might just be a 3-1 then.
3-1 Boston, huh? If you're shipping Bird Ring to another final. Can't that boy rest? Can you let Smurf and Twilight relax after all these years?
Not final
Pick
yet,
London, Joe. Pick London. Come on.
You know I'm picking London. It's London all the way. They are
Holy
the
shit.
outliers. They will defy all odds. It's
How
Reinhardt
do I
to the
lose a
moon.
blood bet to this guy? Like, this is this is insane.
Welcome. It's my world. You just live in it, baby.
This is
Hammers
Lord.
out. Let's go, Hottie.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, okay?
That's right. You bet your sweet ass he does. So I've got London. It's going to be a 3-2. This is still going to be a nail biter. I still don't like. I don't like that head to head. There's a lot of like variables to Boston. I said it in the preseason. Was a little bit wrong. Feel a little vindicated, but still, mid season was not great. LAN is a thing. London, zero expectations. They know how Boston will kind of try to adapt. And I really do think there's going to be a whole lot of TP shenaniganry. And, again, nobody thought they'd get this far. So this is elimination time. As much as I, can criticize their final play-in performance, I think they live up to expectations. I think they probably come alive on stage and they squeak it over the line in the very last moments, in my perspective, and get to top 4, which is insane to say out loud in context to everything. So for Kenobi's bracket, he has Atlanta, Boston advancing. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
You're the only one with Atlanta.
You're the only one with not.
Okay, good. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Everybody but me has Atlanta, Boston advancing. I have Atlanta, London advancing.
Yeah.
That is Group A. Group B. Let's start there next. We'll start with what I'm guessing, to circle back to what Yiska had mentioned earlier. Another possible easy match, the Dallas Fuel, the Soul Infernal. We'll start with Yiska. Is this an easy one? Is this a 3-0? Is it a bloodbath?
To me, it's not an easy one.
Okay. What makes you say that?
There's a lot of things that could happen for the Infernal, right?
Yeah, Mag could still be good. Sure.
Play ball.
Poco
You could play
should show
ball.
up.
If Poco shows up, does that help or hurt them in your mind?
Help.
Really?
Oh yeah, wait, yeah. I think
Think?
he can play Zarya.
But he hasn't like scrimmed at the team.
I think he's probably scrimming now.
He did play
the meta-
official matches, right?
I mean, he did,
One.
but
Yeah, he did play one official. I mean, if the meta is as Zarya favorite, I think you'd be silly to not try Poco at this
which
point.
it doesn't sound like it might be.
But if it's 40%, then that's a significant chunk. That's like maybe
I mean, it
I feel like
should
is.
put Poco.
The problem is, like, I feel like discussing this is like, this is almost rush slander, right? Like, this is a meta that's
Yeah,
not
I don't.
bad for
I mean,
them.
I don't think it's close.
Yeah,
I don't
this
think
is
it's
a
close.
fucking
Yeah,
Well,
wash.
we can come back to you then, because I think this is a bloodbath. I think this is 3-0 fuel.
This is 3-0 fuel. It's
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
But there
I
were
have it
worse
too.
in the regular season.
They were.
But there was a Winston meta where you have Hanbin. Like, of course they're going to be worse.
You're underestimating Mac if you think he won't try ball, okay? You
I
don't
know he's
ball
going to try ball.
You think
I
Mac
know he
doesn't
will.
play ball.
I know he will try. He will try, and
Rawson,
they will.
please get in front of Jim, shake him senseless. Do not
They're
play
not.
ball.
That's why they will get a map, actually. 3-1 to Dallas.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That was easy. We got to make up for some time. Group A took a little bit.
I mean, I think with Dallas, the thing that like is just like if the meta like is so hard Zarya and like Junker Queen as well, that's two of Hanbin's best heroes. You can make an argument that he was the best Junker Queen last year. I don't even know if it's really an argument.
That's not.
I don't really know like where. And then you have like again, you have Edison, who's going to be on Sojourn, who he was very good at last year. Sparkle Genji, we all know about.
Yeah,
you know, the one question mark I think is MCD, but I don't know if supports are going to be as like super heavily important like they were like earlier in the season, where it's like if your Ana was like a crackhead, you were just one of the best. Like you were one of the best teams. You just had a very good team.
I'll level with you on that point where we look at supports. For a team that has played a significant amount of Reinhardt in APAC previously, this is, towards the start of the season. If Reinhardt is being passed around in the Toronto scrim bubble and Infernal catches wind and adopts early enough, that would be enough to make me reconsider this score. I don't know that is happening. I would tend to think that they're probably leaning more ball initial scrims. I think if they do adopt the Rhine look early, if I'm trying to read in between the meta lines a little bit, I would like to see that, and I think that might be enough to make me really seriously reconsider things. But as it stands now, if I think Zarya is going to be good, if I think Junker Queen is playable, Dallas should kind of come in and slap up old Zesty Poo. This gives us everybody's in. Everybody's locked in. Everybody 3-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-0. Very good. Dallas goes to the winners match in Group B. Second match.
Oh,
Houston,
I
Florida.
Don't know, man.
How do you call this?
Easily. That's how I call it, okay?
Easily. Okay.
We'll
start with you then, Mr. Easy Boy. What's the score?
3-0 Florida.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Really? Why?
Because I don't have a 3-0 yet. No, but
I was gonna say, how'd you have a harder time with, or how'd you have an easier time with this one than you did with Dallas versus Infernal?
I think like Florida is cracked. I feel like there are very obvious issues. If the meta gets diverse, this is a big problem for Outlaws.
Yeah, it is.
They feasibly could have, like, if it just stayed like hard Zarya, I think Burna is deceptively good on the hero, and like in those cases, I might even give the match a close call.
Mm-hmm.
Would have probably gone Houston pre Who Are You, post Who Are You. If that meta had hard stuck around, it would have been for Florida still.
Okay,
but I think like if it is actually really flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Then, because of the main tank difference, the flexibility of someone will absolutely outplay.
You hear that, Kenobi? The flexibility
because
of our MVP.
Because
oh hell yeah!
because like just walk through it in your mind how Outlaws would have to maneuver around several hero picks, right?
Yep.
I'm not totally convinced that someone that has been out of competition for over a year can step on LAN and immediately perform either. I think there's some brick shitting going on as well.
Sure.
And I think Florida's just hot. They want it. Like,
yeah.
I think like there's no tilt in that team. I think they are capable of playing all the meta applications that we could feasibly have from them. They have stocked up. Even if they were to be very flexible, their pickup, yes, is inflexible, but their previous starter, isn't. It's not a big issue to wake up and go, oh shit, we're only playing Zarya and Genji 30% of the time. Who are you?
Checkmate starts.
Checkmate starts. Who are you? Teach Checkmate some things on Genji, and we're good, right?
Yeah.
So this is not to be underestimated in that regard. I think the advantages are just huge for Florida here.
All right. If this is so, if you feel very confident here, let me hit you with a tangential lightning round question. I need this off the dome.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready? Are you prepared?
Yes.
Who's a better all-time Genji? Who are you or Pelican?
Who are you?
Based. All right. Kenobi, Mayhem, Houston.
I think this is very close. I can't imagine this being a 3-0, and if it is, fuck the entirety of the bracket. Like, nothing's gonna make sense anymore. I mean, I really like what Florida Mayhem have done the entirety of the season. While I knew about how like the someone MVP discussion and like the flexibility and whatever, he is, I think, maybe the best tank like in Overwatch
at the event.
Like at the event, he's really good. I would not be surprised. I've been a someone truther since his time on Team CC back in like 2019.
No MVP vote though.
Nope. The dude is cracked though.
Yeah, you can't use that argument. You're not allowed to. Okay.
But I think that I think this is 3-2 Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that gives me pause about the Mayhem team is that last year on LAN, they never really kind of got to like expectations. I think they had a lot of times where they like got I think they got reverse swept by London twice on the LANs. Like it finished like 5th, 6th.
Familiar, yeah.
I could be misremembering, but like that is one thing that I would be like a little bit worried about and like a little bit hesitant about, but I think that like with that experience it probably helps them in a way. Who are you obviously being one of the best Genjis to ever play helps them a lot if this is a Genji meta, but it like does the Genji happen because of the Zarya, or is Genji just really good right now? Not really sure about how that looks. And for Outlaws, obviously having Bernard is very good for them if it is hard Zarya. I think Shu and Violet, very good in terms of a duo to have in the backline. Happy and Pelican. I've been, during the Somber Tracer meta, I was iffy about a little bit, but they did manage to perform very well. Get second in the mid, in the, I think they beat Atlanta also before we had the meta change.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Towards the end of the regular season, they did beat Atlanta.
I mean, I hate this. Feels very like coin flippy to me, where it's like I could very easily see this being Houston winning and Mayhem just not, really being able to keep up with Bernard on Zarya as good as someone is. But yeah, I have this 3-2, and it'll probably be the best match of Thursday. Without question,
easily.
I hope it is.
Mr. Lord, Mr. Lord, sir, I have a question. You gotta answer it from the heart, though. Okay. Who are you as the best Genji at the event, right?
Yeah. Who's
the second best?
Stalker.
Based! Oh god, he's base posting. Holy shit.
You don't think it's Sparkle?
That's my MVP.
You don't think it's Sparkle?
No.
This is such a base take. Holy shit.
Sparkle is a feeder, bro.
I don't know.
Sparkle
I don't know.
Is a fraud.
I don't know, bro.
You've been
no. You are. There is no way you're gonna tell me that guy is a fraud when he took Ben Best to a champion. Like, there's no way that Eternal team should not have won that tournament.
So true. You're so
that Eternal team should not have won that. It was specifically because of the fact that they had Sparkle there playing. By the way, carried Fielder on 200 ping. Also, like, this was a team that team was dragged over the line by Sparkle in that meta for Genji. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the dude
but
is
who are so let's go down the list, because I think Sparkle.
Why are we talking about shit that happened pre-pandemic? What is going on?
Because that's the talking points that we have in Overwatch.
I don't think you lose the ability to play Genji, brother. I don't think
you
do. Don't. But other people come into the game, and you know what? Based on the the question that you asked me for, I thought you were going to say Pelican. I was scared for you for a second that you were going to have an incorrect opinion.
That was a bait to all Yiskorders and Timmies to use recency bias to make people go, Pelican's so good against you. How could you say that? Yeah, that's
they
bait.
don't know, dude. Like they told me I'm crazy.
They don't know.
They told me I'm crazy when I said I would take Stalker over Prophet. Look at where we are.
It's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nah, that kid is
Yeah,
fucking different.
Kid's a fucking nutter butter, dude.
I don't think
Stalker's
he's bad,
him.
but bro, I think you are there needs to be some respect given to
And
fucking Sparkle, bro. Like I don't know.
You want a board bet? You want a pizza bet that by the end of the event, Stalker, you'll be convinced that Stalker is a better Genji than Sparkle? You want to put it on the board?
Fuck.
well,
I mean, what do you mean convinced? Like, what does that mean?
But by the end of the event, you'll agree.
Okay, I could just say I don't agree. I still think Sparkle's better. Do you want to just give me the pizza now? Like, what? I don't think this is very good for you.
You're a more honorable man than this.
Sure. Okay, we'll board bet a pizza and
all right. You'll have your opinion shifted.
The melange, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You got 3 matches to prove that shit. I give him.
Hey, I think it's doable. It's doable. That's my MVP. He won't win, but that would be my magical vote. Eric. Houston, Florida.
Yeah. I'm going to make a case for Houston, honestly. I think they started earlier with Bernard in the scrims and practice. It's a little more incorporated into the team.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Florida looks excellent. Obviously, the coaching staff still deserves all the plaudits. Early in the season, we did see some overcoaching from them, though. So I'm going to just take this one 3-1 Houston.
Okay. I like the introduction of the overcoaching because I kind of have it a little bit flipped. Whereas right now, I think everybody's looking at this like as an RPS between like Ryan, Zarya, and Winston comps, like it used to be last year. It's a little RPS like. It sounds like it at least, right? I think there's part of me that wonders if Junk doesn't want to try to see Fearless play Doom in some of these matchups because they've already tried to. That's been a hero that they've like kind of opted towards, like against London. Obviously, historically, Doom players well into Ryan. But that's where I see a little bit of overcoaching, where I think Houston try to get a little too creative. They maybe view Bernard as a little bit of a bust now that everybody's kind of stepping away from it, or they just lean too heavily into it and they one trick it and they get farmed. I'm going to say 3-1 Florida. I'm a little hesitant with what I've seen still from Violet. Again, second chair GOAT candidacy, but boy, howdy, can this man not position. Sometimes that boy just looks lost. So, for audio listeners, everybody... Wait, let me find it.
No, Eric has
I've got
everybody but Eric. Everybody but Eric has Florida advancing. Eric has Houston advancing. So we'll start with Eric as the odd voter out. The Battle of Texas. The Dallas Fuel, the Houston Outlaws to advance to top 4. What do we got?
I love the narrative of this long rivalry, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we have Fearless going against his former coach, and I love it. But at this point, I think Houston is much better prepared, and they should carry the day. I'll say 3-1.
3-1. Putting Fearless in the losers bracket, somewhere he's been familiar with and has battled out pretty much his entire career. Goddamn, not weird to think about, but
that'd be Fearless on the Houston Outlaws.
True.
Yes. Winning.
It's always weird to not think of him on Fuel. So yeah, Han bid. Interchangeable some ways. Not in most ways, but regardless.
no, just a brain fart. Just say it's a brain fart.
It was a brain fart. I was like, oh yeah, he's still on Fuel. He's not.
But it was very entertaining for you to try to wiggle out of it. Like everyone let you squirm. Like it was based. Okay.
Let's start with you, Mr. Pizza Better Lordship Kenobi.
Is that me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that I wasn't like a
this
good...
This is Fuel Mayhem for us.
Correct. Yes.
3-2 Mayhem.
3-2.
Yeah. I thought going into this, Dallas makes it to Sunday easy. if it was our hard Zarya meta.
Okay.
I thought it was not a question. Everyone on Dallas gets their best hero. It's not even close. I think they're just gonna be able to run through with Hanbin, Sparkle, and Bliss, and Edison and MCD as well there. But I don't think they would have been as important as the other two, or other three rather. I still think they'll put up a good fight, but I think Mayhem has as much as has the versatility in the tank position that unfortunately Dallas does not. So if there needs to be like a Winston play, or there's some dive, or there's Rhine, I think that really, really hurts Dallas a lot in being able, because I think they just get run over. There is a possibility where they just like figure out that Junker Queen is viable into it, and maybe that's a way back into it, and they can take a map or two off that way. But I think that without Zarya and Junker Queen being as heavily meta as they were previously, this takes Dallas's chances down significantly to win this tournament and get to Sunday. So I have Mayhem 3-2.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I'm a little bit more bullish on the Mayhem because of that. You talk about like tank flexibility, where it's, Hanbin all season long basically has played 2 heroes max. Most of the time just playing 1 hero, either just playing like Monkey for that meta, playing a ton of Zarya to start the season a little bit, playing a little bit of Junker Queen to kind of end the season. Not a little bit, but basically just one-tricking Junker Queen and Zarya a little bit. But yeah, not a ton of flexibility there. I think they probably try to make Junker Queen work if the Zarya comp doesn't. And I just think that Florida has that kind of under lock and key. Maybe they get caught looking against a Queen swap every once in a while. But yeah, I think that they're very clearly piloting the standard meta, can do it all. They have Who Are You on the bench just to kind of fill it out. I'm going to say 3-1 Florida. Yiska, what you got? Mayhem, Dallas.
Just pick Mayhem.
I of course. Now the question is, how much rush slender does my soul take? Hmm. 3-0.
Oh, a bloodbath.
Oh no!
It's a bloodbath. It's everywhere,
you're
guys.
putting him on the guillotine, bro. Jesus.
Kill him.
That's fucking brutal.
We'll get to the guillotine.
How much did your heart
gets...
hurt when you had to say 3-0 against Rush?
It is pretty.
Get that fraud Sparkle out of here.
But
I watched him feed on Genji in contenders, and he's gonna feed on Genji versus Who Are You? Oh, fucking an actual dinosaur.
You know what's also pretty rough? Having to fucking play in APAC all year, having to draw the best opponent you could reasonably scrim, or second, as your direct opponent, therefore dropping lower. O2 Blast is on vacation for the contender season. Who the fuck do you practice against, right? So this is a big,
you have to travel.
Big one. They are traveling late. They're not there yet, I think.
Oh, really?
I think they're flying in today or tomorrow.
No, they're in Toronto. No,
are they now?
They pictured in Hong Kong, so they were on inbound.
No, that was Spark who was in Hong Kong.
I think Dallas have arrived.
Dallas are there. I'm like 99%.
I think they've done media day and everything.
Tuesday. So yeah, they would have to be. So that's rough.
It is
also because of the once again jet lag, for which they have less days than the other. Or rather the Spark. So this is all around rough. And then they have like, it's not rock, paper, shotgun. It's like, I don't know, like shotgun, 2 baby kittens, basically. Like the other comps that they could field. Like I think, like if you have to put Hanbin on Winston, that shit is garbage. I'm sorry. In comparison to competition, right? I think like someone reasonably is not. I know I'll actually like Gamba called me out for that one, but I think like Hanbin is in his own tier for. To be fair, Gamba called me out for saying like someone probably doesn't have a good Zarya. That's probably not right. I also reconsidered like that he did play it in the past and it looked very good. Yes. But it's not Hanbin level because like Hanbin is to Zarya what Lip is to Sombra. This team is two. Like, there's only two modes. Like, either Florida Demon modes this tournament,
Yeah.
or they start shitting the bed immediately, and then that match probably never happens anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm Team Demon mode. I think this is a 3-0 because, like, if I save 3-0 Outlaws, in what world do I not think 3-0 Dallas?
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. So
Pigeonholed yourself a bit.
everybody's got
Might take
the
play
Dallas
too far.
Fuel manning the lower bracket elimination match,
Mm-hmm.
whereas
Let's
Wait,
speed run this
let me
one.
read.
This is easy.
Mayhem. Everybody has Mayhem advancing except Eric, who has Houston advancing. So we'll go
Yes.
back to Eric.
Eric already put in 3-0.
3-0. Come on.
I'm
3-0.
3-0,
Okay,
man.
so
Yeah.
for our audio listeners who didn't see that, it's the Soul Infernal versus the Florida Mayhem. It's a bloodbath. Infernal going home.
Yeah.
The Mayhem advance to the
Yes.
deciders match for Eric.
Yeah, I have three of Houston.
He's just going through. It's a 3-0. Does anybody disagree that these aren't all
No.
just 3-0s?
That's a 3-0.
Beautiful. So for the remainder of the brackets, to kind of save time, everybody else has Houston, Soul Infernal. Everybody else has 3-0s. Everybody has Soul Infernal going home and Houston Outlaws advancing, except Eric, who has the Mayhem advancing. So Eric, deciding who makes second seed of Group B, advancing to top 4. It's the Dallas Fuel and the Florida Mayhem. What do we think?
I love Hanbin. I love Rush. Though at this point, as the brother in the bottom right here, I have to say it's a weakest link theory, and MCD is on the Dallas Fuel. Therefore, it's a 0-3 for the Mayhem.
Based. So true. Kenobes. Battle of Texas, which I didn't actually foresee coming.
I didn't either, actually.
Yeah. This could just be a Zarya.
This will change based on what I see Friday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Completely. Because if this is like, oh, we are playing more Zarya than like further than like we were expecting earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I would give this 3-2 to Houston or to Dallas actually. You know what? Fuck it. Just to spite you, Joe, and all this slander you've been given to Sparkle, this is 3-2 Dallas.
Dallas across the line.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is 3-2 Dallas.
The fraud proves me wrong.
This is the I think that the meta will like determine so significantly
Yes,
how
I
I
agree.
like view these matches towards the back end of the day. I cannot, in good conscience, bet against Rush if he's making it this far. He's doing something good. He's
Mhm.
had to have been doing it. If they're playing Mayhem as close as I think they are, then I think they beat Houston in the matchup. But yeah, that's my view on it. I can't. I'm fucking sending it in. That's it.
Send
3-2 Houston.
Dallas
Finally, see Dallas
advancing.
is going to win a battle of Texas because they haven't in a very long time.
The gut check.
The
And I don't hate it if it's a Zarya just handshake between both teams. Look, you can't not bet Hanba.
I'll tell you straight up, the way we set this bracket up is the ultimate fucking revenge run
Mhm.
of the century, dude.
Yep.
Dallas Fuel first playing against Fearless, and then the next match would have to be against Atlanta Reign in order to advance to the finals and send the champions home against the backline that didn't want to resign with them. Bruh,
Mhm.
that shit.
Yeah,
Like,
that's my narrative.
At
I'll give
that-
my narrative juices.
at
Oh.
that point, Hanbin had his way with your shitty team. Okay? Like, if that happens, I don't know. Like, we got script writers in this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But how likely is that shit? No, I feel like
It's not.
yeah,
It's sexy, but it's not like.
yeah, it's super sexy. I think like reasonably, Outlaws are the second best team at this tournament, but it's going to
Really?
be close.
What? Over Mayhem?
Second,
So you think Atlanta's third?
You think Atlanta's third?
yes.
Oh.
Wow. We're gonna get
What
some
was all of
interesting
this?
takes
What
here.
was all of this disrespect earlier to Atlanta, and you're calling them the third best team in the tournament? Where was that energy?
Well, don't suck in scrims, okay? Scrim bucks, baby.
Hey,
Woo! We're back.
Yes. 316. 316 said Yiska just fucking talked about scrim bugs.
Chalk that off the bingo card.
3-2
Give me a score.
Outlaws.
3-2 Outlaws.
This
You're
is going
not
to
that
be a
convinced
fucking
either.
bloodbath, dude. I hope it's going to be a dope
See,
match.
I hope it is going to be dope. I don't think it's going to be dope. Again, this is an APAC team. I will be that guy in the room that says APAC is not scrimmed.
Stop
They have
APAC
traveled.
taxing.
Listen, it's the truth. It's the weaker region.
If they've
They're
made
having
it
to
this
travel.
far, Joe, if they've made it as far as you have them making it, the APAC tax I think is gone.
Brother man,
Like,
they
wait,
beat Infernal.
Yeah, they just have to beat Infernal and they're there.
It's not very
Yeah, but
far.
what I'm saying is, it's like it's 3 days after they get so the amount of time that they've been acclimating to
Right.
Toronto will be longer. So I think you need to I think
Agreed.
the APAC tax should be taken away, or at least lessened this far into the tournament if they
And
are
who-
getting to Saturday.
There's still a question of who are they scrimming? People from Group A?
I don't fucking
Those
know.
who have been
but,
sent
like,
home?
I don't think you can use they've just not adjusted, and it's like
No,
after as long as they've been.
That's
in it.
not the entirety of my argument. These are just points that you can stack against Dallas. They also have a fraud on Genji. That's all I'm saying. You know, homie fed his entire career. Here he is. He's gonna feed some more against Pelly, who is a little bit undervalued. That's all I'm saying. Violet's the GOAT.
Joe,
What?
do you know Stanislav Petrov?
The name sounds familiar.
Petrov is the guy that basically avoided a global nuclear fallout.
Oh,
because
is
he
he the one
didn't
that
turn
like
the
didn't
key.
turn the key?
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
turn the key.
Got it. Okay.
So, like, despite the better judgment of like the systems around him,
yeah.
he decided, no, I'm going to take a stand, and he saved the world. Kenobi's fucking over here pretending he's Stanislav Petrov in this bitch. Okay?
he's trying to find how to start the car, dude.
Listen, I'm trying to get us the juicy Atlanta versus Dallas narrative. Why am I not getting the help in this scenario?
Look, my heart.
You want to see
says-
Atlanta beat Houston again on Sunday? Come on.
Well, hey, listen. If the Scrim Bucks floweth and they're
that
low,
shit would be
I
so
don't.
Josie. Like, yes.
It would be. It would be. I
Give me
do
the
think
plot.
that Dallas advancing is like actual esports porn. However,
Yeah.
that's what my heart says. My head says this is 3-1 Houston. Sadly, the APAC team has to go. Not a very good team. Haven't really been all year. I don't see that changing now, especially with Zarya being reeled in.
I feel like if we get a Florida Mayhem, Atlanta Reign against Dallas, I don't care about the other team. As long as that is the constellation, everything will be dope from then on out. Because, like,
Yeah.
Florida would be in the finals. That would be a dope storyline. It would be either Atlanta. I wouldn't be mad at that if the best team of 2023
Sure,
was
yeah.
going to be in the finals. And if Dallas makes it in, that's the reigning champions getting back to
That's
the
a
finals.
defense. Yeah. We don't have a lot of those.
Against all the
Against
odds.
Fielder,
against
like,
their direct
Inchio,
opposition,
he-
against the dudes that took the bag. Like,
Yep.
I'm,
You can't
by the way,
really
I'm being
miss
an
it.
asshole, right? Like, they're not like just like mercenaries, right? Like, they really like this shit needs to
But
be.
for the
milked
narrative,
for us.
it's cool. For the narrative, it's
Yes.
cool.
I mean, you can even
lying.
reach even farther. Like, let's say that Boston makes the final. It's like all the fucking greatest hits. You know, it's all the people who have been in finals their entire careers. It's Smurf with 2 rings. It's Bird rings with all the rings. It's Decay finally getting one. You really can't miss at this point. The only way you miss is if you have Soul Infernal in the finals. I hate to say it, Roston.
yeah, that would be pretty hard to narratively take.
That one's a little. I have to wonder how that even happens, but yeah, that one's not.
Okay,
super
then what's
sick.
your score, Joe?
It's Mag.
I said 3-1. I'll say 3-1 Houston.
Okay.
I have them advancing. APAC team's got to go.
Okay.
Not a good team. Haven't been all year.
Right.
So to recap for our top 4s,
Mhm.
Kenobi, esteemed guest, most popular and most frequent TCP guest through all the years, through 316 episodes. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
has the Atlanta Reign, the Dallas Fuel, the Florida Mayhem, and the Boston Uprising as his top 4. Yiska, my favorite person in the whole world. Atlanta Reign, Florida Mayhem, Houston Outlaws, Boston Uprising, top 4. Eric, our beautiful producer, has been with us God knows how long. Atlanta Reign, Florida Mayhem, Boston Uprising, and the Houston Outlaws. I have the Atlanta Reign, the Florida Mayhem, the Houston Outlaws, and the London Spitfire as my top 4. So now we're going to go through the...
You're a hot box.
You're cooked.
You're a hot box.
Listen, Dallas boy, I don't want to hear it out of you.
Pick London over Mayhem right now. Dude, yeah, do it. Do it. And show the world who you truly are.
Nah, you can't.
It's me. I'm Armo. No. No, I can't do that in good faith. Do you want to start with my bracket then, since we're already here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, it's Mayhem, it's London to start the semifinals. We'll start there, even though it's mostly out of order. But it's gonna be a 3-0. It's Mayhem. It's London Spitfire. It's the goofy team versus the extremely goofy team. I have to take the hands team. It's a little too out of synergistic placements, which puts London Spitfire in the 3rd, 4th place match, which is still, hats off to them. And then to top off my bracket, it's Atlanta, it's Houston, the rematch of the Mid-Season Madness a couple times. The one team to actually, well, not the one team, but one of the only teams to actually defeat the Atlanta Reign. I'm going to prey on the fact that this is not super Zarya focused, which means that this should return to some sense of normal. Because if it is Zarya focused, then the Dallas matchup probably looks very different. If by Sunday Zarya has been reeled in enough, I think Atlanta should just kind of get it across the line. I'm guessing early scrimbucks is what Yiska's getting, where they couldn't necessarily flex to Zarya all that well. Maybe they were getting farmed by Bernard. They were early to the meta. They had a great Zarya one trick kind of coming in. I think now that that's reeled in, that's my suspicion, is that those were Zarya cooked takes. And Atlanta should just kind of win this. I'm going to say 3-1. Atlanta Reign advances to the grand finals and sends Houston to the 3rd, 4th place match. Which leaves me. Do we want to just complete the bracket for everybody? Do we want to bop around still?
Might as well just, I think,
finish it out.
Well, I save grand finals, I guess, forever.
Okay, well, we'll save grand finals for 3rd, 4th. Yeah, it's Houston 3-0. Pretty easy. Hate to send them off the podium, but it's London. So, all right, Kenobi, since you want to talk all that good shit, what's your bracket look like? What's top 4 looking like for you?
So I have Atlanta 3-1ing Dallas in the semifinal matchup. I think as much as I believe in Dallas to get this far, I can't really... I cannot, unless Atlanta has been showing me throughout this weekend that they are like a little bit shaky in the meta, they're not maybe moving as good, the communication may not be there. Until Atlanta shows me that they do struggle, it's hard for me in this meta to really bet against them that's this good on paper. I have them going to the grand finals 3-1. Mayhem versus Boston is fucking so difficult to pick, actually. In my bracket, I have Mayhem struggling quite a bit in terms of like being able to, like, I have them 3-2 for Houston. I have them 3-2 Dallas. I think they also 3-2 Boston here. I think it's very possible Boston gets to this point and they just all lock in, the rings on their fingers start glowing fucking Green Lantern style, and they all they just pop the fuck off.
Okay.
It's a low possibility though. And I think that it's going to be too, like, Mayhem, I think he's going to be too much. I would love, to be honest with you, though, if we did get the narrative that Boston does make it to Grands, beating this team of, like, the Mayhem.
That'd be
where
insane.
It's like, it would be insane in terms of just, like, looking at that roster and seeing the names, the pedigree on that they're still able to somehow, this long after they started playing, finally find a way. I think Decay winning a championship would be a phenomenal story.
Still got a little bit more work to do, but damn close.
Yeah, but like, the possibility of it, right? Because he needs to, I think getting to grand finals is where you can finally start to be like, this might be the point for Decay. I think getting Birdring his 2nd, getting Smurf a 3rd, right? all of these players who have had championships in the past coming back in and being able to reignite that championship pedigree. But I don't think it'll be, and I think that that's going to be 3-2 Mayhem over the Uprising. And then I would have. I'll have. I think if Boston have lost the previous matchup, they'll boom. So I have this 3-1 Dallas.
3-1 Dallas. Oh, geez. So Dallas taking third. I think that's pretty respectable. An APAC team in third. That's ballsy. So you've got Atlanta, Florida in the grand finals, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think it's what's destined to happen.
It does feel destined at this point. It's the two juggernauts, Houston. We'll see. It's a possibility that they're in that mix as well. Fun fact, little piece of trivia. I think the last time Decay's been in a final was 2018 Contender Season 2, where they lost to Runaway.
That was that's one of the worst losses I think I've ever seen in terms of like a team that was about to win.
Yep.
And just, I think, what was it, Slime? If Slime doesn't boop, I forget who it was, but
he gets an
Slime,
environmental that
he
just
gets an
sets them
environmental
up.
on Ilios that just like completely turns the gamer.
Yep. Prime Slime time. Ugh, what a time to be alive. Anywho, Yiska, what's your top four look like?
Fuck. Okay, so you know how I said Houston Outlaws was the second best team in this tournament?
Don't do this.
Do it. Put it in my head. Do it. Send it, dude.
They somehow still lose against Atlanta Reign 3 right
Ow. How do they lose? Write me that script.
Okay. Picture this.
That's funny.
There's one aspect we have completely brushed over in terms of having the hidden talisman that is almost impossible to win an Overwatch League without. In fact, only one team has only ever achieved an Overwatch League title without this talisman.
Jesus Christ.
In every Overwatch League season, that wasn't the win of the Shanghai Dragons.
Oh, man.
The team that had the involvement of Rascal won the league.
He does show up in way too many finals for his own good. Historically speaking.
Season 1, London. Season 2, Shock. Season
Shock.
3, Shock. Season
Shock.
4, he takes a little break. The goat sleeps. Okay.
Season 5.
Back to Dallas. Then Wizard Young. Oh, I'm a little bored by this domination. Hey, yo, Rascal, you want to win another league? Here we go. Okay, he's here. He's ready to get his second coach ring. I think that would happen. So, 2 coach rings, 2 player rings. I don't know if you really want to count the London one, but be my guest if you want to. I think it's 3-1. I think like this Atlanta team just has insane hands. I think there has never been a team that has hands like this.
Yeah.
I think they by that point probably have had a manicure. So like, I think we're looking at a different team from the start. I think that they will improve with practice as well. So the second match, I got Florida against Boston, right? Once again, I don't think 3-0 Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. It's destined. Has to be. All roads lead to the same final.
Yeah.
Now this means that so far in my bracket, the Florida Mayhem have not lost a map. Okay.
Ooh, spicy. I like what you're setting up.
And then I guess we're talking about the third place match, right?
Yes, it would be Houston, Boston for you.
I think that like these teams are probably rich enough to just like play Torb and shit against each other. I'm not sure how high the care will be. I'm sure they're going to try a little bit.
Anybody who has Boston in the third, fourth, just phone it in. You're not.
I didn't.
Fourth.
I wouldn't pick Boston.
Yeah, I would not pick Boston in a third, fourth.
Yeah. Yeah, probably 3-2 Outlaws.
Okay. Here we go.
Do we all have
joined
the...
us
Oh, no, never mind. Okay.
in the same
Eric.
final, except Eric.
Eric
Eric could break the rule. Let's see.
Well, he
Eric.
has to because
He can't have the same final.
Oh,
can't have the
true.
same
He
final.
has the, he has the,
He
the
has it
true
in the semi.
Overwatch bracket.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He has the semi. He has the classic esports semifinal is the true final.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Mayhem.
Ooh.
The Mayhem are gonna
3-1.
win the day,
Wow.
balance the reign for this year. Again, strong team. I think they'll get some jitters out coming through in second place in their group. I think they'll get some extra work done and come through to the final. Houston, Boston. This is for all our Yiska friends that love Boston. I'm going to predict they don't get a map point. So
Jesus Christ.
It's the
will
delivery
continue
for me.
to the third place game.
Now continue to the third place. They just get to Sunday and they don't win a single map.
Based. I mean, you damn well know this is a team that fucking absolutely started the season boomed. They boomed halfway through, and they're ending boomed.
I'm going not going to lie.
It's the circle of boom.
No, like a third
Hell yeah.
place match against the Atlanta Reign and Boston Uprising would result in Boston Uprising winning every map by 4 minutes. I think the Atlanta Reign just completely tilts. They might not play with a tank. It might happen that they don't have a
Put
tank. at
Vigi
this
on
point.
tank. Vigi on tank.
That dude is that dude even traveling with them?
I don't know.
Hasn't that guy
we need a
been-
wellness check on Vigilante?
No, he's played a couple of
Yeah,
times.
he has
When?
played with
When's the last
Profit
time?
and ranked.
I don't remember, but they.
Soul.
I know they played him. I know it happened. I know for sure it happened, and it was in the second half of the season.
Man.
Dude,
All right.
please keep
We've got-
Vigilante alive. Like this is the man that can keep the Profit around for another league.
It's true. Yeah.
So,
That's how we continue this.
Okay.
Speaking of, Eric is the odd man out for audio listeners who don't have the mental agility to keep up with all the different preds. Everybody but Eric has the Atlanta Reign and the Florida Mayhem advancing as our 2023 Overwatch League Grand Final. Eric has it. The Florida Mayhem and the Houston Outlaws. We'll start with you, Eric. Best of 7. So first to 4. Mayhem, Houston. Who wins? Potentially the last final.
Eventually, yes. And I've got Mr. Juice looking down upon me here. I'm going to ante up. I'm going to go Texas hard for the Hot Laws here.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm going to go
Hot Laws.
4-2.
Let's go. Wow. The Hot Laws bring it home. For once in their damn lives, they get off the couch. They sign some contenders players and they win.
I think if this
Yeah.
happens, by the by, Violet's the GOAT. I think just
Yeah.
Okay.
I
They've
think he
crowned
has
the
to-
GOAT.
I think he kind of is probably right there.
Yeah,
then,
3
'cause he
rings
has
is hard to
2.
argue. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has
Yeah,
3,
yeah.
and then on a different team, like
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he just I think he
Mhm.
kind
In
of
the
cements that.
season where like the runner up shits the bed and doesn't even get playoffs, right? Like
Yeah.
because
Yep,
he's
yep.
gone with the probably most skilled Overwatch player that ever touched the game. Like, yeah,
Not
all of that
impressive.
shit is super impressive.
Lines it up. I'm liking it. The GOAT gets crowned. The Hot Laws take it home in one world. In reality.
Yes.
Maybe not reality. Who
True.
knows?
No.
No, I think no. Come on.
No.
My heart says that Eric's top 4 is probably more likely.
I'll buy
Nah.
Eric
Nah.
I'll buy Eric a slice of pizza. In
I'm
Toronto
sorry,
if
like-
if this happens on Sunday.
Nah, this is like Outlaws winning the Grand Finals is some metaverse shit, okay? Like this this would
But
be
you
in a
love that.
Zuckerberg fucking pitch, okay? That's
All right,
classic.
Mr. Smokin' Meats. Who wins? Atlanta, Florida.
Sweet baby Rays.
wait, what?
We're here in person.
Wait,
You're smoking meats. What are you smoking to get a winner of Atlanta, Florida?
with
Yes.
euphemism, but I'll let you get that off, Mr. Lord. So, oh, God, this is hard. So on one hand, Florida in my bracket has all the momentum, right? Of course, I'm also not loving what I'm hearing out of the rain at the moment. I think most of those issues, if the rain gets here, will probably be resolved. If this happens, and if it happens in the way I predicted, meaning Florida goes super hard and Atlanta rain gets through, this has potential to be the best Overwatch League final of all time.
True.
The level of play would probably be higher than last year.
Mm-hmm.
More hands on deck, I think.
Oh, the most hands.
This is so hard.
Looking like the Going Merry. There's so many hands.
This is crazy hard.
See what I did there? You like that?
Oh man.
I
I know what mine is.
Yeah, I know what mine is too. Do you want to come back to? Do you want me to come back to you?
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, we'll have some time to think. Kenobi, hit me with the final.
So
Atlanta,
I
Florida.
have this 4-2 Atlanta, and I think a couple of things happen in this series.
Okay.
I think this is Lip completely quashes any MVP discussion during the series.
Okay.
I think Lip, Chio, and Fielder cement themselves as the best probably support duo to ever play the game. Gator, I think, gets
on stage and trades NFTs. No.
I think Gator gets to, I think, get a lot of props and kind of gets rid of this idea that like how good of a coach was he if he gets them this far, being as dominant as they've been. And Atlanta Reign, I think, finally are able to capture that championship with this team. I think Florida definitely, and like this, obviously, a lot of this will change based on how I see the first couple of days play out. But just looking through the regular season, looking through how I think incredibly gifted the Atlanta Reign have been, regardless of like whether they're changing their tanks or anything, they still have 5 fucking dogs on that field, and Mayhem do too. But I think for the Atlanta Reign, they're more used to where they're gonna be. Like Lip has been in a final. Stalker hasn't been, but I think like Chio and Fielder, they were there last year, right?
Sure,
when you look at the Florida Mayhem, how many of those players have been in a scenario like this before? Not any of them, besides like Who Are You, I guess you could say. But the rest of them haven't ever been in a final like this big.
Yeah.
And I think that like tiny bit of momentum is going to be what carries the Atlanta Reign over. Because if they've gotten this far, the meta's not a problem.
Right.
If they've gotten to this final, the meta has not been a problem. They've been arguably one of the best teams in the tournament if they've gotten all this way. And I think that little bit of just championship know-how, as much of a buzzword as that kind of is, I think it does kind of matter a little bit when you're playing like in the grand final of the tournament for that amount of money, and you've actually been there before if you're Chio and Fielder, you've been there before if you're Flip. Granted, Lips is kind of, a little bit different because it wasn't on land technically, but I think this is where Atlanta finally cements that they were the best team in the entirety of the Overwatch League season and get their championship.
Okay. Yiska, you still need more time?
Okay, here's the movie script, okay?
Okay. I'm glad that you've prepped a script because I'm also scripting.
Florida's tried a lot. They're a great team. But in the end, I think Hyper Hands win. Now, the last scene of the movie is the backside of a rocking chair. Someone grabs for the pipe. Okay? Someone grabs for the pipe. And the camera pans to Sephi.
It's not. Thank you. You're so based.
Who helped secure the best backline that Overwatch has ever seen. Takes a puff, sees Gator lift the trophy, and says, "You did good, kid." And it's a
fade to black.
It's a 4-3 Atlanta Reign.
Wow. Actually, switch mine to 4-3. Actually,
Stalker finals and MVP.
Based. So based for that.
There will be lot of like societal pressure on giving it to Chio as a pity party, but Stalker is
I was
too good.
literally gonna say. I was literally gonna say. I think it's Lip or Chio. I think it's Lip or Chio who wins Grand Finals MVP.
I respect the consistency. Fuck those main supports.
Yeah, that's
the script, huh?
That's the script.
All right, I've got a slight twist for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, Championship Sunday. Who could want something more for esports? It's the day we come to celebrate. It's the day we hold church, the gospel of esports, the Lord's Day, if you will. Right. It's supposed to be 574 Toronto that Sunday. Little clouds, but maybe the clouds just linger a little too long in front of the sun. It's kind of crispy. It's kind of dark. It's a little chilly. People walk into the goofy little basketball stadium. They're there to watch two of the best teams that we've seen all year compete, right? The Atlanta Reign come in to a sizable applause. Everybody assumes them to be the success story of the year. They won the midseason madness. What stops them now, right? But the house lights go out. There's not a lot of light in the house. Everybody starts turning on their flashlights on their phones. People got lighters out. And here comes 5 men draped in black, carrying something. Nobody's sure what, but they carry it on stage.
Is it Undertaker's urn?
Nobody's sure. Everybody's silent. Everybody's quiet. They stand up this object. The spotlight arrives. It's a coffin. What's in the coffin? Why is there a coffin on stage? It's just Overwatch. Nobody's trying to die, right? The coffin falls open. The body of bare hands falls out. It's a new regime. Albert, descends from the heavens. Lord and Savior of the Florida Mayhem. From zero to hero, he has brought this team a title. The Vice City, the pink and blue, will be winning the 2023 Overwatch League Grand Finals. They've got everything going for them. They have
shit! He takes
the
Who Are You to
MVP.
Disney World.
He takes Who Are You to Disney World. Finally, he's met his goal.
That's the end of the movie. They're walking through the magic gate. They're walking through the gate.
Trophy in hand. Regime fulfilled.
Oh, fuck.
Narrative complete and resolved. Who Are You gets to kill his asterisk. Someone gets the MVP, both in the regular season and in the finals. Everybody's happy, but Jed's there too.
God damn.
He's just around. He's like cheering for his old team. He's like,
No.
He's just happy. He's just happy for his guys. Hydron can be there too. If you want Hydron to be there, he can be there too.
He can drive the car. Dude, like someone... Two things about that. Eric, can you bring up that picture?
Look for yeah.
2 things, okay?
Okay.
First thing, Hydron is in the car with his old boys, and he's driving. One of the top comments, new Tivik. I went like, that shit tickled me, okay? The other thing is, I swear to God, okay?
Uh-huh.
Hydron's face has a shape that his... Let me try to... I can't do it. See how it curves down, right? Slightly. Hydron's face has a shape that his mustache is so straight, it is parallel to the equator at all points in time, okay? That shit extends in a straight line directly around the planet. Space objects will fly around it. Like that, it has gravitational force, okay?
Okay.
We got the technology. There you go. That is. That shit is crazy. Can you zoom in on the face a little?
Why'd you draw the line? For audio listeners, you need to go to, I think it's Hydron or the Toronto Defiance Twitter page, or it might be on the Mayhems as well, but it's them in a car. Hydron's smile is very capital or capital D. It's very just straight. His top lip is just a straight line, and Erkey
great teeth too. Great teeth. I'm so jealous.
Impeccable. Yes.
This is someone's Twitter or X.
Someone's Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you want to troll that shit at any point, I'm not sure if that like bends space time or something. Be careful with that.
Oh man. All right. There we go. Predictions are in. The final. The end.
We've done it.
Question mark. That's it. 316. Say your prayers. Yiska, what's coming up? Obviously, you've had quite a bit this past week, plugging all the interviews and everything. Anything else coming down? Anything you want to shout out?
So we'll release your pieces tomorrow. The other thing is, we have one more content piece. I hope that over the season, I tried to get people to record like some additional content, and the nature of their content got very different based on the outlook of the league. So I hope it will nail the energy of the moment. So we have one more piece coming there, and then I'm trying to get post-match interviews, post-match press conferences if they happen. I'm not actually sure. So the coverage is not done. I'm trying like one last ride, Joe. We're trying to get as much out of this sucker as possible, and I really hope we get a good send-off here. I think from what I'm hearing, like what the Toronto Defiant have been cooking up is great. I think the teams that made it are great. I think there's a lot of potential here. I hope the meta didn't screw us out of a great weekend, because the general consensus is that this patch was probably worse than the patch beforehand in terms of diversity, possibilities, enjoyment.
Okay.
So I hope it doesn't destroy that too much. But once again, everything is still in flux. I hope we see some meta development throughout, where we can actually see like the evolution of these compositions match by match by match, day by day. And yeah, in the end, I hope it can be a last celebration of the Overwatch League. Because I assume, like, once again, single-digit percentage that we're continuing in this agreement. And I hope we get to celebrate those players and those coaches that put insane amounts of time and very formative years for young adults into this career. And we treat it with reverence. We treat it for the competition that it is, for not too serious, but still realizing that there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this. And I really hope the Grand Finals delivers. I hope we're getting to the level of Dallas Fuel against San Francisco Shock, which is the best Grand Final we've ever had. And it feels like hopefully we learned how to play a Grand Final. So best of luck to the competing teams. I know some of you really had to eat a shit sandwich on the travel and the time zone differences. Is the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I also hope like that the Toronto Defiant get what they want out of hosting this event, because it's not a given. It's a great location to do this, but to take on this responsibility is huge. And yeah. I think last time they did a great job. I have no reason to believe that this wouldn't be the case this time. So Godspeed to everyone involved, and let's be present and enjoy this moment.
Wise words. Kenobes? Are you going to be there in the crowd?
I don't know how I follow that up, but like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I leave early tomorrow morning, and I'll be hopefully at the arena unless immigration kills me, but I'll definitely be there all 4 days. This year with Overwatch League for me was like really, I think, one of my favorites. Obviously, I have some biases. Being able to go to the studio, be on the desk for a weekend doing pro-am was fantastic. Overwatch to me really still is. I don't want to say was, but like, it is such an incredible, I think, game that brought a lot of people from a lot of different places together. Got me a lot of friends that I hopefully have for life, and I think that the best way that we can, if this is going to be like some sort of send off thing, the best way we can do it is kind of like Yiska said, just be present. Remember the good times that we have, and because that's, I think, where I would want everything to end, where I would want it to go out on a note like where it's like I wouldn't want it to be left on a sour note or anything like that. I think we're gonna have a really good crop of teams that are there. Last year was the best grand final. I think hopefully if we do get Atlanta Mayhem, I think this one will be better. And just remember all the stories that we've had kind of throughout and really focus on those being the main thing, and how kind of much we've really seen this esport really grow, and the people that have like helped it, continue to be still going. I think there are still a lot of great people that are in the Overwatch League scene, no matter what happens in the future. So, give them all of the respect that they deserve, and hopefully this isn't a, goodbye, it's a see you later type deal. So I'll be around.
Go shout out Mr. Juice. Go pester Mr. Juice.
Please don't. No, don't.
Go say hi.
Make
him sign things. He loves signing things.
Don't actually. I don't have a signature for like my actual for my caster name, so it's gonna look like shit.
He's gonna chicken scratch you. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. Eric, what are you getting up to? Anything coming up?
Well, episode 317 next week. That's what I'm up to.
Fair. Well said. 317 next week. We chug along. It's gonna be that'll be a weird one. After the conclusion of everything, gonna have to figure out what happens next. And like I said, there's not a lot of ways that the script writers can screw this up. No matter which team wins of these teams, and everybody kind of has a shot. Everybody has those like tangible narratives that you really want to root for. Some a little bit more than others, but everybody's got something. So you really can't mess this one up. It's going to be a special one, and to echo a lot of the same points that these guys mentioned. Be present, celebrate it. Don't worry about what happens next. Enjoy the weekend for what it is, and we'll figure the rest out later. So 316. We will see you on the other side of a new chapter. So be excited. 2023 ain't over yet. Let's ride this shit till the brakes fall off. So see ya after Toronto.
Peace.